Welcome back, folks. After another week, we're back at you guys again with another episode.
The topic this time around is influences. We'll play a spin on Jenga and have an interview to discuss one of the greatest influences, peer pressure.
But to kick things off, we'd like to try a new mini segment. What's that? Features an interesting phrase or word that's a noun, and it'll help everyone broaden their terminology they can use in today and age.
Okay, so what's the word?
Well, during one of my sessions of procrastination...
Ben!
Okay, what? I'm guilty. Don't you procrastinate? Doesn't everyone?
Yeah, I have to admit, I do procrastinate. Actually, let's do an episode on that.
Okay, agreed. Anyhow, while I was being productive while procrastinating, well, that's oxymoronic.
Okay, so the word?
Okay, so I was on Merriam-Webster getting a definition for peer pressure, which we'll use later. And I found a page at the bottom that linked to the most often search words of the week. And from there I saw their antedating of the week.
So I take it something very ancient.
Oh, well, sort of. The phrase for what's that this week is bunco steer, which while unheard of by many, you'll probably find it's really applicable.
Okay, well, the name of the segment works for sure.
Well, yeah, I know. It's pretty ancient. But did you want to take a shot at it, or I can use it in a sentence?
Sure.
Okay, so let's go ahead and say... Johnny Q asked Susie B for $2 for the vending machine. But once Johnny Q got his drink, he walked away as Susie tried to engage in conversation.
This word is very hard.
I know.
Is it a person who takes something?
Sort of. Yeah, we'll give it to you. So, Merriam-Webster defines bunco steer as a person who takes money or property from other people by using lies or tricks. It's also known as a swindler.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty common today. I wish I would have known that yesterday when you asked me for money to buy a drink from the vending machine.
So, I take it you knew the sentence when I said it.
Yes.
Well, I'll pay you back in a few days.
Sure, Ben. Sure.
I will. Hey, I'm good at holding my word.
Okay.
Something for another episode. So, anyhow, folks, next time that swindling friend, you know who I'm talking about. You all have that one person in your life. Well, next time, give them the cash and just casually call them a bunco steer. Anyhow,
okay.
Brighten their day.
Ben, next topic.
Okay. So, another item we have, also new, is Tower of Influences. The spin on Jenga involves each Jenga block being numbered, and the numbers correspond to questions on index cards.
Kiavi, Ben, Gabe, and a special guest, Patrick Domingo, who is now on our staff as PR, sat down in the library to play the game. They took turns drawing blocks and answering the questions assigned to each block to the best of their knowledge.
Alrighty, folks, so we're in the library now, and for Tower of Influences, we'll be playing with myself, Gabe, Kiavi, and guest Patrick Domingo. He is a junior here at Moreau, and I believe on the soccer team, right?
Yeah, what's up, guys? Glad to be here.
Cool. Well, without further ado, let's get started. How about you start us off, Gabe?
All right, I'll start off. Okay, do it.
Don't toast it. Oh,
You got it. You're going for the middle block.
Yes.
What number is it?
32.
Alrighty, question 32 is, how much does culture influence you?
How much does culture influence me?
I mean, you mean like your own culture or like other cultures?
That's a good question. Let's go ahead and talk about your own culture
Yeah,
first.
my own culture. I don't really think my own culture influences me that much, considering how my family has like in terms of culture, where my family is really separated from like Mexican culture, for example. So we're more accustomed to, say, American culture. And so I guess really speaking about American culture, I think the way it's mostly influenced me is putting a really large focus on education, putting a large focus on the need to understand, for example, humanitarian needs, and how we can find ways to change politics such that we can meet those humanitarian needs.
Okay. Kiavi. Go ahead.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay.
Oh.
Awesome. What number is this? Is this 20? 20?
26, I
26.
think. Yep.
No, 26 is right here.
So that's 20.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's 20.
Alrighty, then, yeah, we'll go ahead and call it 20. So, 20. What are some other influences that other generations may have experienced?
I would say that other generations might have, experienced more parental problems or family issues, maybe, or for instance, might not be as close with some other family. Our generation is kind of more open to that in a way, but at the same time, I think that their generation got to be a little bit more independent at times. And I think that we, as our generation, need to be a little bit more independent as students in a way, to stand up for ourselves. And I think that's the end of my turn.
You think that's the reason why we have our whole, student movements, why we have walkouts and stuff?
Yeah.
You think that's us taking our independence?
A little.
Oh, someone's going off on that piano down there.
Nice.
Good for them. Good for them.
Good practice game. All right.
So, Patrick, whenever you're ready.
Let's do it. I was eyeing this one. 42.
Oh, Jesus.
It was
God.
right there.
Of course you picked the bottom one.
What's wrong with picking the bottom?
I don't know, I feel like our game time's cut, in half now. So, 42. What kind of institutions are prone to using their influence to a significant degree?
Repeat that for me.
What kind of institutions are prone to using their influence to a significant degree?
Institutions like schools and all that.
Yeah, with schools, churches, government.
Honestly, I feel like all of those. Schools influence their teachings, their ideologies and all that. I mean, look at our school. Our school gives information, transformation, and formation. I mean, it's not like it's right there, but they try to influence how we how we learn stuff, what we're supposed to learn. Churches all the time. Churches it's a religious thing. They influence what you carry out in your life. That's what the main thing about religions is how to carry your life and what way you should do it. Schools, churches, honestly, influence everywhere. People. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you
Did
should
it.
the whole table.
Alrighty, 16. So, question is, in your personal opinion, can we become heavily biased by such influences? I'd say definitely yeah. Considering, the current news feed we find, it's always someone saying something or another that's radical or out of this world, or, oh, you've never heard that before.
Really?
But, yeah, I think so. Or it's that we feel like we've never heard it, but in fact we've heard it 1,000 times.
I thought the media mostly was
We just choose not to listen.
Yes.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, that's it.
Or also in the way how, and it isn't necessarily media, but for example how, in a lot of advertisements, there's some sort of review that says, oh, the number one thing, right? But it's not necessarily always the number one, and that makes us think, oh, it's new when it's rather old.
I think some people actually feel like it's kind of dull in a way, and they're kind of just becoming nullified to the sensations of new things or other stuff in that sense.
Yeah, and I think even then, I think the main issue is that when it comes to stuff and how we like become dull, I think it comes with our influences and in how we are raised in an era where it's okay to do things that weren't okay to do about 300 years ago, even 100 years ago.
Well, I mean, yeah,
it wasn't
of course.
okay.
Like,
Which,
times change,
yeah,
you know?
not, and that's not a bad thing. But then again, considering like parents who are the key influences in one's life, like I think influences explains our key political problems. I mean, earlier in Major Religions today, I was watching a video where it shows an ISIS school. An ISIS-run school and an ISIS-run village. But then I also saw a following clip that demonstrated a Christian camp, if you will, thank you, Gabe, that demonstrates not extremist. I don't want to start applying terms, but it's just very different points of view, and it's these parents who raise them that way. And so I do think, yes, influences create bias. From the moment we're out of the womb, we start forming things in our minds.
I mean, of course, we're always influenced by, like, you know, the people around you. You know, I'm influenced by you saying stuff, like, right now. Like, my opinion of this podcast has changed. Just like that, because I'm doing it right now. You know, influence is all, like, everywhere, all the time. When you were, like, born to, like, now.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so Gabe, how about you take the next block? Oh, more than halfway out. 3/4.
Yes.
Number 8. What is or are influences' roles in society?
I'm sorry, maybe repeat that.
Let's see.
Like, what are influences
that's a big
in society?
question. Yeah, like what do influences do in society? Let's say consumerism, how advertisements influence you to buy goods, stuff like that.
Okay. I think this can be pretty much applicable to all of the world, but I'd say influences usually appeal to what we want the most over what we need the most. And so, let's say, for example, what sort of developing on Ben's points. For example, religion. Huh? So, religion a lot of times influence us to try to put emphasize the need and the sense for community, but it also emphasizes what they want as their particular agenda even more. So, for example, like in Christianity, the agenda that they would like to run us by, as per their influence, would be abstinence, for example, and ignoring sex education, the matter of birth control, the matter of how society should work towards spreading their beliefs. And so I think that's one way of how the role of influence is largely to appeal to us.
Okay. Well, I think that's and of course all these are hot topic issues in our current day and age. So, influences I do think play a big role. Kiavi, I see you're moving on to the block.
Yeah. Is this 21 or 29?
Let me see it. I'm gonna say 29. Let's go ahead and call that 29.
29. Okay. So what's
So,
the one?
29. Have you or did you have people in your life who have influenced you to do bad things? Remember, try to keep names out of this because people will be listening to this. So feel free to change names and stuff. Just make sure no one
So can you repeat the question again?
So, have you or did you, and please share an experience if you want, have people badly influence you to do things?
Yeah, before, yeah.
Any specific examples jump out at you?
I can't really say it on a podcast, but yeah. Yeah, yeah. Even in like when I was in elementary school, it was like that. Middle school kind of turned out that way too a little bit, but things kind of worked out in my favor back then a lot. I was really lucky, and I kind of sorted out everything back then and became a better me. And in high school now, like things are kind of more mellowed out with everything. Good people to not try to like persuade me to do something. So yeah, there are of course always people in that time like that always just do something like that. That always just yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, definitely, like, some influence, and it'll take us a while to realize, like, I have friends who, like, don't realize, let's say, toxic relationships, like our previous episode, that can be an influence, but, you know, they don't realize it until they're out of it. Even then, sometimes they never come to realize it. Now, let's turn it over to Patrick.
All right, it's my turn. It's got one right now. 38.
Okay, 38. What are some methods that we could use to monitor our own use of influence over others and other situations?
I feel like this is pointing towards biased influences,
Yeah,
like
I
a
can
way
see
to like attack and like defend yourself against modern bias. Well, I mean, don't be so opinionated. That's what I would say. Don't try to come to conclusions and just jump based on what you hear. You know what I mean? Like, you want to hear what everyone else has to say. There's always another side to a story, so I've been told. And yeah, you know, you can't just assume that this is right just by looking at it once and from word of mouth. You know, you have to dig into the details and actually know that what you're looking at is right. Yeah.
By the way, I know we're on the air right now, but I totally recommend you take communications as one of your electives, either like next year or the year after, but you should totally take communications.
Why?
I'm enjoying it. Literally, what you were just talking about is the study of critical listening and analytical listening, which is a subsect. I don't want to get into a whole lesson or anything, but the idea is that you have to include all sides and all perspectives before you jump to analysis or conclusions.
And like, yeah, I feel like that's a big problem in society today is fake news. And, you know, these news corporations feeling like they can say whatever they want, whether it's true or not, and they're just doing it for the money. And I feel like that's really wrong. And that they're influencing people the wrong way. Like, news aren't supposed to do that. They're supposed to, like, inform you about the truth.
Without such a preface.
And, yeah, it's one of those things where society has changed in a not-so-good way. I feel that we need to, as a whole, society change.
Alrighty, well, with that I'm going to move on to my turn.
Alright, 35. Ben, is influencing inherently morally wrong?
Oh, geez. I want to say no to this. I mean, I can see an argument for yes and how, like, you should just it's like natural, like, let nature run its course sort of thing. I can see that. But at the same time, I've used influences before with, like, friendships and stuff to help people out. I mean, I'm not going to say who this is or anything, but I've helped some kids with serious problems.
Did you help people get together, like, as a couple?
Oh, well, yes, I have. Once or twice, yes. Yes, I have. But that, I mean, tied in with other things such as drug use and stuff, and it's just, when you have an influence over someone, you have to use it wisely.
Yeah, wisely, like in a good way.
Yeah, you have to be sure that you're influencing them down a path that won't harm them, won't harm others, and is overall beneficial to everyone involved. I mean, I think influencing isn't inherently morally wrong, but in our society today, anyone who considers themselves to be a power player, be it you're in the government, you're in the media, you're in an authoritative position, maybe at a company, regardless, it's really tempting to use influences for bad decisions, I think, just because that's the way our society is today, which kind of sucks. But then again, that's why we're all here as a young generation ready to make the change. So with that, I'll turn it over to Gabe.
So, did we already do? Oh, number 6. Not yet. Number 6.
Number 6. Alrighty.
Sure, that's 6.
6.
Yeah, it's a
Who is someone in your life who influences you?
We've sort of already answered this, but I'd say primarily my parents. They've mostly influenced me. So a lot of times, for example, as far as I can recall, in elementary school, I'm basically starting the actual education part of my life, and so of course they had to have influenced me so much to help guide me and make good decisions. But I think in addition to that, they've influenced me a lot on how I think today, on my values today. So, for example, I'm trying to appreciate what I have, trying to be generous to others, etc. Yummy, your turn.
awesome. Okay. I totally agree with what you just said. It's amazing.
Parents are the best influence, man.
Yeah.
Well, they can be the best influence if they decide to raise you right, but that's for another episode coming up.
Wow.
I think that's being biased.
Yeah.
It's not biased because I never defined right. It's up to everyone's perspective to define right.
I know,
To
but
them.
you're saying that they did it kind of wrong.
Whose, though? I wasn't saying anyone in general.
Never mind.
I'm just saying you gotta make sure that if you're a parent, you're doing it in the way you think is best. If you think that's best,
I see what you mean.
more power to you.
Okay.
What a good man.
Now, how to find out what is the true objective right in, for example, raising people or trying to help people. What is right?
That's true. I mean, honestly, I don't think we'll ever get an answer. But as of right now, let's go ahead and look at Kiavi's question, which I believe is 23, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so for 23, we'll be shrinking down our conversations a bit because we're running out of time. What are some influences that still carry from the rest of history into the contemporary era?
I think one of the best influences would probably be not war, but what's it called? The
Innovation due to war?
no, not innovate. Well, technically that too, but not just because of that. I would say the
Effects of war?
no,
Like, I don't know. I mean, like,
Okay, what about we? Yeah,
no,
let's
the Enlightenment. You know, the Enlightenment when they came up with all those ideas for thinking of certain ways to think differently that changed views of everyone in that thing and everyone in the time period. And kind of
beginnings of
paved the
political
way.
science.
Yeah, it kind of paved the way for our society today and the way we treat others now. It's kind of shocking.
That's-
Um, anyways, let's
I
get
never thought
back.
about that.
Like,
It's pretty good.
yeah, you're up next.
Alright. Ooh, there's a one. 27?
alrighty. 27. How does religion influence human behavior?
Religion.
Yes, religion.
Well, first, Ben, you gotta look at what religion is. Religion, is...
It's the study of God.
No, it's not just the study
Oh,
of
jeez.
God.
Yeah, this is a really...
But-
it's vague, but
Oh, no.
try to work with it the best you can. I mean, I put it this way, like, a Christian action of attending Mass is influenced by that religion. I mean, like,
Yeah, the religion tells you
to
should
do that, yeah.
you should go
Influences
to church
like
every
that,
Sunday.
yeah.
Like that.
How do you think, like, does influence have a big role? Like, are religions very influential in people or no?
I mean, yeah. In terms of religion, look at the Bible, the Torah. The most influential things ever. Love your neighbors as yourself. that's like the hardest thing to do. You know, as a Catholic, going to like homilies, you know, literally the father, like,
Yeah, priest or father.
yeah, the priest literally just what he says, you know, what's right and what's wrong, tells you how to live your life. And yeah, I get really influenced by religion myself. But for other religions, I bet it's the same thing also, as where, you know, they believe in peace, such as Buddhism, believe in peace. And it really influences how one lives out their daily lives. And I feel like that's a positive thing for the environment, like in the world, to have, you know, some religion kind of guide you towards the right direction in life. And just overall, like, they're like there to help you, like a helping hand almost. You know, and it's good that they're always there to help you out whenever you need. And so I feel like religion is a good influence on life. All right.
Okay, so, oh geez, there's not that many options here. Can I do this? Maybe. I know, I hate taking ones that aren't center. Alrighty,
Ask you this
18,
one.
yeah, ask me.
18. In our society, how pervasive can influence be? Like politics and society.
Oh geez. Let's see here. Gabe, I know you pulled these questions off. What do you mean by that? Like how pervasive? What do you mean by that?
Like how many, compared, or at least not necessarily in comparison to before, but how many people, in regards to a population, can influence reach such that it governs most of their daily lives.
Okay. Let's see here. I definitely think that like daily lives are influenced, like our whole morning routine, if you will, was started out just by influences, mostly by what we saw our parents do or what we were told to do, that basically evolved into a quote-unquote typical day or morning. And I think that certain influences are very pervasive, like parents or even religion. Like, I don't like calling things extremist just because it's a charged adjective. But like certain religions take very much pride or effort into making sure that like it follows this religion. I think that when it comes to religion, it's very influential over like many people's lives.
If you don't mind me just, like, out of my own curiosity, just expanding the question a little bit, would you ever say, like, government itself is heavily pervasive in society in terms of influence?
I think it'll depend on the situation and the time. I mean, recently, it's been very, very pervasive when it comes to just like grabbing our attention mostly. I think that's the key thing that's happening right now. Like, our attention's getting grabbed by Trump's latest tweet about this secretary of whatever got fired. You know, like, I think that we're definitely, like, our government is grabbing our attention and influencing us because now when we go to school, instead of discussing maybe, let's say, the French Revolution in history class for a full 90 minutes or something, and not to get on our history program here, they're all very well renowned teachers and they all demonstrate extreme knowledge in their skills. But just an example, like, instead we'll spend half an hour talking about Donald Trump and how, oh, what happened with his handshake at the 2020 meeting in Argentina, you know, like, it's very, very pervasive, I think our government is right now. But other times when, you know, like, America, not at peace, if you will, but if America's, like, sort of not caught up in something big, which I know is quite rare, then I think that the government is just the government. Like, it's there, but there's not extreme efforts to be pervasive. Alright, you want to go, Gabe?
I'll try. Yeah.
Okay, so what number is it?
13.
Okay, 13. Okay, so 13 is, by what mediums can someone influence people? What mediums can someone influence people?
I'm not, in terms of institutions, we talked about religion and government, for example, but I think for ourselves mostly, it's through social media. I think social media is just the biggest medium for influence.
Yeah, like it's telling us what trends are new, which Nike shoes just dropped, and how they're absurdly priced.
I never understood that.
That's my personal little dogfight, if you will. But anyhow, yeah, like I have serious issues about social media. Like social media is amazing. You just have to make sure that you use it responsibly, and everyone who you interact with on social media uses it responsibly, which often doesn't happen. Any other comments on about mediums of influences, Gabe, or shall I move on to Chiavi?
Wow.
Okay, that's not aggressive.
No, I didn't mean that. I don't know.
Push it.
I don't know how it sounds if it came out progressive. Try to grab a block.
Ooh, that almost topped that one too.
Oh, it went down. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, jeez. Let's go ahead and just take that question as our final question. What is it, Chiavi?
Okay, 15.
Alrighty, 15. How do you think we as like a Western society, say Europe and America, South America, etc., are influenced when it's compared to Eastern society, let's say the quote-unquote Orient or other areas?
Like
in
Japan?
The East. Yeah, I guess so. But like,
Awesome.
you know how they say like Oriental versus Western, like
I would say,
quote unquote.
Well, compared to America compared to Japan, if that's all right with saying,
I think it is.
I would say that in an economic standpoint, it would be kind of all right to say that our country and all is a little bit better off because we have more land and more opportunities to get even more money compared to Japan in that sense. But Japan has more quality in other senses, like agriculture and attraction towards all these different bases, like anime, for instance. Anime is the best. I'm sorry, Japan wins that battle any day. That's the best part about Japan.
Would you say you're a weeb?
Huh?
Would you say you're a weeb?
What?
A weeb. Okay, that's what he said.
Let's go ahead and not worry about that part right now.
I'm an otaku.
Let's not go ahead and bring that up. That's alrighty. But with that, I'd like to conclude this game, Tower of Influences. My guests today were Patrick Domingo, Jr.,
Nice to be here.
Chiavi, and Gabe.
This was really fun.
Oh, I'm glad you guys liked it because we're trying this out for the first time, so maybe we'll do it again.
Now, as we close, we'd like to thank you so much for tuning back into our podcast.
But before we end, we'd like to give a shout out. MCHS senior Veronica Castaneda, president of Moreau's Hispanic Culture Club, Nuestra Gente, has asked us to announce that Moreau is throwing its first Hispanic festival, Baile, featuring various dance performances, entertainment by Banda 300, and a special feature of Pepe y su Orquesta, a band formed by Moreau's own Luis Gonzalez, one of our Spanish teachers.
Sounds fun. When is it?
It's on Friday, March 22nd from 7 to 11 p.m. Doors open at 7. Tickets are $12, and sales starts on Monday. You can find tickets by going to Moreau's website, moreaucatholic.org. It'll be under the Mariner Mall page, under events. For those of you students listening, tickets are also available in the bookstore, open on Gold Days.
I think I'll go check it out.
As will I. And make sure to come back next week when we talk about social values for modern-day teens. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode.